Welcome to this episode of our program Arab Affairs. As usual, we will be speaking about an important Arab file. Today we'll be focusing on the GCC Arab Foreign Ministers meeting that took place yesterday, in which they have gathered together along with the foreign ministers of Egypt, Jordan and Iraq to find a way or a solution to the Syria crisis. The Arab and Gulf foreign ministers who convened with the in Saudi Arabia yesterday discussed the Arab developments at large, and particularly the situation there in Syria. The meeting, as we said, between among the GCC countries plus Egypt, Jordan and Iraq. During this meeting, the foreign or the Arab foreign ministers said that the only way to end the crisis in Syria is to find a political solution that would really put Syria back into the Arab fold, and that is what we are going to discuss in our episode today. Before we delve into our discussion, let's take the very top story that just erupted a few hours ago, and the sustained firing was heard in the Sudanese capital Saturday morning amid tensions between the military and the country's rapid support forces. The firing was heard in a number of areas, including the central Khartoum and the neighboring of Bahri. Tensions between the military and the rapid support forces have escalated in recent months, forcing a delay in the signing of an internationally backed deal with political parties to revive the country's democratic transition. In a statement issued Saturday, the rapid support forces accused the army of attacking its forces at one of its bases in South Khartoum. The military has not commented on the incidents yet. Current tensions between the army and the forces, or the rapid forces, stem from the disagreement over how the rapid forces headed by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo should be integrated into the military, and what authority should oversee the process. So far, Egypt has expressed grave concern over the ongoing clashes in Sudan between the two sides, the Sudanese army and the rapid support forces, and called on all Sudanese parties to exercise utmost self-restraint to protect the lives of the Sudanese people and put the interests of their homeland on top priority. Also, the Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry said in a statement that Saudi Arabia is deeply concerned about escalation and clashes in Sudan, and called on those involved in those rather to choose dialogue over the conflict. Definitely, there is a need for calm and for putting the Sudanese interest as a first priority, and hopefully that would the scene would calm down soon, because there's no need for such escalation, particularly at this very critical time the whole region is passing by. Before we delve into our discussion, to our main topic of the day, let's first have a quick look on the Arab news that took place during this week, and we'll come back for more discussion.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received on Wednesday President of the United Arab Emirates Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan An official reception ceremony was held to the President of the United Arab Emirates at Al Ittihadiyya Palace in Cairo. During their meeting, President Sisi welcomed Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and praised the distinguished bilateral ties between the two countries. For his part, the President of the United Arab Emirates praised Egypt's leadership and people, stressing UAE's keenness to boost bilateral cooperation between the two countries. The two leaders also discussed bilateral coordination on the regional developments as well as a number of regional and international files. The two leaders agreed to continue cooperation and coordination to boost solidarity among Arab countries to face various challenges. Egypt welcomed on Thursday an agreement on the resumption of bilateral diplomatic ties, which was reached during the second meeting of the Following Up Committee on Qatari-Bahraini relations. In a statement issued by the Foreign Ministry, Egypt expressed its full support to all efforts aimed at enhancing ties between the two brother Arab countries, as well as dealing with challenges facing the relations. Cairo further hailed the agreement's positive developments at the level of pushing forward the joint Arab action and solidifying the Arab unity. It stresses that such efforts are aimed at consolidating ties among Arab nations, as well as realizing their joint interests. Israeli occupation forces intensified military measures in older Jerusalem, preventing Palestinian youth from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque to perform dawn prayers. Meanwhile, scores of settlers stormed into Al-Aqsa Mosque halls in the sixth day of Jews' Passover feast. These settlers' break-ins were carried out in groups from the mosque's Magharba gate amid tight security by the occupation forces. The Islamic Waqf Directorate in occupied Jerusalem said that the settlers carried out provocative tours inside the mosque halls, performing their Talmudic rituals. In Egypt, Parliament Speaker Councillor Hanafi Gebeli denounced recurrent Israeli violations of Jerusalem Al-Aqsa Mosque. He called on the international community to shoulder its responsibility in putting an end to Israeli violations. Syria and Saudi Arabia are moving toward reopening embassies and resuming flights between the two countries for the first time in more than a decade. The announcement followed a visit by Syria's top diplomat to the kingdom, the first in 12 years. A delegation headed by Syrian Foreign Minister Faisal Miqdad, at the invitation of Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, arrived in Saudi Arabia on Wednesday for talks about bilateral relations between the two countries, state media from the two countries reported. Syria will reopen its embassy in Tunisia after the North African country announced the appointment of a new ambassador to Damascus. Tunisia has become the latest Arab state to re-establish diplomatic ties with Syria after cutting off relations a decade ago. According to Syrian state news agency SANA, the move by Tunisian President Qais Said to appoint a new ambassador was immediately approved and re-approved by the Syrian government. The announcement is the latest step in the regional trend of reapproachment with the war-torn country, which has picked up pace since the deadly February 6 earthquake in Syria and Turkey and the Chinese brokered re-establishment of ties between Saudi Arabia and Iran.